Today we're going to go over CACHA corrections for number 4's CACHA. And today we have something that we haven't encountered before, which is dialogue, which means people are talking. So whenever someone is talking, the very first thing you need to do is indent to show that someone's talking. When you switch talkers, you always indent. So we are definitely going to need to start this with indenting. And then the other thing you need to do is we need to have quotation marks around whatever the person said. So whatever actually came out of the person's mouth gets quotation marks around it. So I'm going to start first thing with indenting and then quotation marks here. Now we have the sentence start with you. So of course we need to capitalize because we always capitalize the beginning of the sentence. So make sure that you have your pen handy. If you did not capitalize that you need to do so now. So you know it will backfire. Now notice that I went all the way back to this line. And we talked about using these margins. So this is the margin. Indenting shows that there's a space there. Now I'm done indenting, so I go back to here. So you know it will backfire on you. And then we're talking to Felicia, so we need a comma here so that we know that Felicia is the person we're talking to. Whenever you say someone's name, you put a comma first. And then of course we have to capitalize Felicia because that's a proper noun. It's her name. So you know it'll backfire on you, Felicia. And now whoever is talking is still speaking. So that's why all of this, Felicia was the person said, you know it will backfire on you, Felicia. So now she's done talking. Whenever someone is done talking, if it's the end of the sentence, it gets a period. If it's not the end and you haven't said who's talking yet, you need to tell who's talking. So you need a comma, end the quotes, and then tell who's talking. Well, in this case, it's Isabel. So now we go warned. Isabel, of course, needs to be capitalized because it's a proper noun. Isabel, ingenuous. That's her last name, so that needs to be capitalized as well. And that is an interesting word, so we're going to put a box around it. Okay, so notice that everything that came out of Isabel's mouth, you know it will backfire on you, Felicia. So this all came out of her mouth. You have gets surrounded in quotes. You have a comma here because we haven't said who's talking yet. If we did it the other way, we would have said Isabel ingenuous said, comma, you know it will backfire on you, comma, Felicia, and put a period there. But because we haven't told who's talking, it gets a comma. Then we keep going. We have a new sentence, of course we need to capitalize. You looks like don't. You should know this. We have an alpha apostrophe there. It's a contraction. Do not. We got rid of the O, so that's where the comma goes. You don't want to ruin your. This says you are. Does that make sense? You don't want to ruin you are? No. So that's a wrong your. So we need to fix that. That's a homophone. They sound the same, but they're spelled differently. You don't want to fix your or ruin your new black. Oh, I made a mistake here. Almost caught myself. Again, she starts talking, so we need quotation marks because she started talking again. We don't have to indent because she was already talking here. She continues to talk, so we need the quotation marks here. Your black hairdo. Hairdo, believe it or not, is spelled correctly. That is a word, and that's how it's spelled. You don't want to ruin your new black hairdo or start the 7th grade with putrid. Ooh, that's an interesting word. So I'm going to put a box around putrid. Purple. Streaks in your hair as you did in the 6th grade last year. That's all one sentence. Now here's we need to put some punctuation. We need a comma here because she's going to ask her a question. So we need a comma there. And then she says, do you? That's a question. So Isabel is asking Felicia this. So of course it ends with a question mark, and then she's done talking, so we need to do our end quotes. Okay? Anytime you have quotations, the punctuation goes before the end of the quotation marks. Okay? So here's what your side note's going to be. So I'm going to write a note over here about quotation marks. So quotes go around what the person is saying. And then you need to add that punctuation. Sorry, you can't see my notes. There you go. Punctuation goes inside. And I'm just going to draw it for you. Quotes, write that. Okay? So, quotes go around what a person is saying. So anything that the person is actually saying needs to be surrounded in those quotes. Okay? That's kind of a clue for you guys to help you out. And then the punctuation goes inside the quotation mark. So if I was going to count out my mistakes, let's see how many I have. Well, first I have to indent. Then I have quotation capitalized. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Quotation marks 9, capital 10, alpha with apostrophe 11, homophone 12, comma 13, quotation marks 14, and then punctuation at the end 15. All right, I think I got them all. I think there's 15. Let me just double check because there's a lot going on. So indent 1, quotation 2, capital 3, capital 4, comma 5, end quote 6. Oh, missed a comma there. Comma 7, capital 8, capital 9, quotation marks 10, capital 11, alpha with apostrophe 12, homophone 13, comma 14, end punctuation 15, and end quote 16. So there are 16 mistakes. So there are actually 16 mistakes. So count up 16 in your pen, write 16. That's how many actual errors there are. Tonight I'm not going to require you to take separate notes about indenting. I expect all of this to be written down, but you do not need to make a Google document on how to use punctuation marks. This is just an intro to it, so all these notes should be in here. All these corrections should be made in your notebook. You do not, I repeat, do not have to make a Google document and write notes on quotation marks.